Hello everybody! My name's Pam and welcome back to my YouTube channel of quick 6-minute lessons for the PTE. Today you're going to learn the fourth question type of the 21 question types in the PTE Academic, and it's called Describe Image questions. But before we begin the lesson, I just want to tell you that if you find Describe Image questions difficult, you're not alone. Many people do. I used to. And as you know, I'm a native speaker of English. I'm even an English teacher. But even I struggled with this question type. And why is it so hard? Well, it's mainly about explaining graphs and charts. And that's not something I often do in my everyday life. Do you? It's an important skill, but it's not a skill most of us use often. So remember, the first time you try to do this question type, you probably won't give a good answer. And that's okay. Keep going. If you follow these techniques and you learn the necessary language and practice, you can become great at Describe Image questions. Okay, PTE Describe Image questions. Let's go. There are about 6 or 7 of these questions in each test. For each question, you have 25 seconds to look at an image and then 40 seconds to describe it. You say your answer into a mic on a computer. Now, the images might come in different forms, graphs, tables, maps, but they're mostly graphs and charts. And you have to describe them. That's all. Okay, look, these are some typical PTE Describe images. And I mean, who can describe these at first sight? Nobody. But take a breath. You only need to understand one thing to work out what all of these different images show. Every image is making a point, and there's a method to finding that point. If you understand that point, you can describe the image easily. So let me show you how. To describe a PTE image, there are 3 steps. 1. Work out if the image shows change or comparison. 2. Focus on the most outstanding part. 3. Use a template for your first 2 sentences. So, step 1. Work out if the image shows change or comparison. So what is change? Well, look at this image. This is an image about how many hot dogs are sold per day for 1 week. 10 hot dogs were sold on Monday, but that number changed to 70 by Friday. See? Change. Now, this kind of image is called a line graph. And we usually do use line graphs to show change, but not always. So always look for the deeper meaning of change or comparison yourself. Now, what is comparison? Look at this image. This is an image about the activities of a child. And this image shows comparison because you can see 25% of his activities are school, 8% are playing, etc., etc. So there's difference, but no change. That's comparison. Now, this kind of image is called a pie chart. And usually we use pie charts to show comparison. But again, not always, so always look for that deeper meaning yourself. Now, sometimes you might find both change and comparison in one chart. Change is more important. So in those cases, talk about change. Now, once you know if your image is about change or comparison, move on to step 2. Focus on the most outstanding part. Find what stands out. For example, this is our pie chart about a child's activities. What stands out? Well, first we can see the child spends most of his time in school, sleeping, or playing music. Those 3 stand out. So we'll be sure to say that. Now, step 3, use a template for your first 2 sentences. It makes it easier to be clear. So use this template for change. This image shows the change in X over the period of time A to B. The most outstanding part is Y. So for example, this line graph shows the change in hot dog sales over the period Monday to Friday. The most outstanding part is that hot dog sales increased dramatically. And use this template for comparison. This image shows a comparison of X's, and the most outstanding part is Y. Now I'll show you an example of that one in a minute. Now, of course, after you say those two sentences, you need to keep talking, give other bits of information. But having those first two sentences right, that's what will get you the most points. So let's make it clearer by looking at an example question. Okay, so this question is from the PTE Academic Question Bank, which is one of the Pearson official test preparation materials. Now you can see its title is Distribution of Blood Types, and it's about Norway and Iceland. So, step 1, is this about change or comparison? Well, there's no change here, right? We're just looking at blood types in two different countries. So it must be comparison. Now, step 2. What's the outstanding part? Well, we can see that many more people in both countries are type O and A than any other blood type. That stands out, right? So we'll say that. Step 3. We use our comparison template and sub in the information. Then say any other details. Watch me. So here is my sample answer. This pie chart shows a comparison of the blood types in Iceland and Norway. The most outstanding part is that by far the most common blood types in Norway and Iceland are types O and A. Fewer than 15% of either country are type B or AB. The majority of people in Iceland are type O, whereas there are significantly more type A's than O's in Norway. That's it. So, just remember these 3 things. Step 1, work out if the image shows change or comparison. Step 2, focus on the most outstanding part. Step 3, use my template for your first 2 sentences. Now, I want to give you some extra points for self-study before I say goodbye. Firstly, be sure to study the language of graphs. So, for example, you need to be really good at the grammar of count and uncount nouns. This kind of grammar often becomes complex when you talk about graphs. Secondly, you also need practice. And like I said, we don't often get a chance to practice describing graphs in real life. But if you want help, I teach online programs that include lessons on count and uncount nouns and other graph-related language. And I give you practice at applying these language points to describing graphs as well. You can learn a lot of English and techniques for tests like PTE and IELTS. It's useful for getting visas, business, and even high grades at university. But it's only 20 minutes of study a day, includes live lessons and a student community. So you talk and practice with friends. Easy and fun, right? Check neo-english.com. There's a 7-day free trial to understand our program. Try it. And if you want me to support you one-to-one, we offer a private tutoring package too. Now I have a question for you. I did today's lesson on Describe Images by focusing on charts and graphs. However, there is a rumor that PTE might sometimes ask you to describe a diagram for this question type. Based on my research, I don't think they do, so I'm not sure if I should teach you about diagrams or not. So if you want me to, please drop a comment below. And when you do, remember to hit subscribe. Then you can be sure to see my next lesson on question type 5, retell lecture questions. See you then.